Something is wrong with the eggs. Millions of people in the UK crack open every single morning. For years, trusted brands have quietly relied on practices that shoppers would be horrified to see. From contaminated feed to filthy packing lines and welfare violations hidden behind carefully curated labels. And the consequences, they go far beyond a bad breakfast. I've spent months digging into food safety reports, consumer complaints, undercover investigations, and internal audits. What I found was shocking, and it affects nearly every supermarket in the UK. Today, we're counting down the 8 UK egg brands you must avoid, no matter how attractive the packaging looks or how convincing the slogans sound. Number 8. Happy Egg Co. For years, Happy Egg Co. has positioned itself as the feel-good choice in UK supermarkets. The bright yellow packaging, cheerful branding, and constant claims about the happiest hens in Britain convince shoppers that they're buying something ethical, wholesome, and genuinely superior. Most people assume these eggs come from hens living idyllic lives, roaming open fields, basking in sunshine, and scratching in lush green pastures. The company certainly markets it that way because the brand appears everywhere from Tesco to Sainsbury's to Morrison's. Many believe it must be reputable, tightly regulated, and above all safe. Families buy these eggs without a second thought, confident that a major nationwide brand wouldn't disappoint them. But what you see on the box is a carefully constructed image, and it doesn't always match the truth behind the scenes. Undercover welfare groups, consumer watchdogs, and even former farm workers have repeatedly raised red flags about Happy Egg Co.'s claims. Several investigations found hens living in cramped and stressful environments far from the carefree lifestyle shown in the adverts. Reports include overcrowded barns, limited roaming areas, and birds displaying stress-related behaviors that go completely unmentioned on the packaging. Some farms supplying Happy Egg Co. have been flagged for poor litter conditions and inadequate enrichment, which directly contradicts the luxury lifestyle for hens' image they promote. On top of that, customers frequently complain about inconsistent quality, thin shells that break in your shopping bag, blood spots, double yolks, watery whites, and even eggs that smell off straight out of the carton. These issues suggest weak quality control and rushed production, a problem that's far more common with large-scale egg operations than the packaging would ever admit. When hens are stressed, overcrowded, or poorly maintained, the risk of contamination rises. That includes the one word every UK household dreads: salmonella. While not every batch is dangerous, inconsistent farm standards increase the chance of bacteria passing through to the eggs you cook for breakfast. In addition, poor shell quality makes eggs more vulnerable during transport, raising the possibility of invisible microcracks, tiny fractures where bacteria can slip inside without you noticing. You trust the label, you trust the marketing, but in this case, the gap between image and reality could genuinely impact your health. And if Happy Egg Co. surprised you, just wait. Number 7 comes from a brand that's built an entire reputation on size. But what's inside those extra L large eggs is far more alarming. Number 7. Big and Fresh. Big and Fresh eggs stand out on the shelf for one reason: size. They're marketed as the extra-large, value-packed option for families who want more for their money. Many shoppers grab them thinking they're getting a premium egg at a bargain price, something substantial, hearty, and ideal for baking, breakfasts, and big weekend fry-ups. The message is simple: bigger is better, but when something in the food industry seems too good to be true, there's usually a reason. Behind the oversized shells, Big and Fresh has attracted waves of customer complaints and scrutiny over the years. Shoppers frequently report eggs with unusually thin shells, meaning they crack easily in the carton or burst when you go to poach or boil them. Others mention watery whites that spread across the entire pan, a sign that the eggs may not be as fresh as the branding implies. Some even question whether all the eggs genuinely meet the grading standards printed on the box. Food safety observers have also raised concerns about the challenges that come with producing consistently oversized eggs. Hens pushed to lay unnaturally large eggs can suffer stress and health issues, which in turn may affect the cleanliness and consistency of the product. While not every batch is problematic, the variability noted by consumers suggests that quality control is not always as tight as it should be. And thin shells aren't just an inconvenience, they're a genuine health worry. Weak or uneven shells are far more prone to developing hairline cracks during transport or packing. These tiny fractures are almost impossible to see with the naked eye. Yet they allow bacteria to enter the egg long before you bring it home. That includes pathogens linked to food poisoning, which thrive when the natural protective barrier of an eggshell is compromised. For families buying these eggs in bulk, it's not just a matter of frustration, it's a matter of safety. An egg can look perfectly normal in the carton and still carry a risk you can't detect until it's too late. And if oversized eggs raise concerns, the next brand is even more worrying. Number 6 comes from a budget line many people trust to save money, but the hidden issues go far beyond price. Number 6, Heritage Farm, Aldi. Aldi's Heritage Farm eggs are a staple for budget-conscious households across the UK. They appear straightforward, simple, and dependable, the kind of everyday essential you toss into the trolley without a second thought. Aldi's reputation for tight margins and efficient supply. Chains make shoppers assume that if anyone can deliver safe eggs at a low price, it's them. And with the branding designed to feel rustic and trustworthy, many people believe they're getting honest farm quality at supermarket value. But affordability doesn't always mean transparency, and this brand has faced several worrying questions. Food auditors and investigators have raised concerns about inconsistencies in the Heritage Farm supply chain. One recurring issue is traceability. It hasn't always been clear exactly which farms supply which batches or whether eggs are being moved between sites before reaching the shelves. Any gaps like this in a supply chain can be a red flag because without full, reliable traceability, it's harder to pinpoint contamination risks or properly monitor welfare conditions. There have also been reports of farms linked to Aldi's egg lines operating under poor conditions, including overcrowded barns, dirty litter, and limited enrichment for hens. These aren't the images you'd expect from a brand marketed to feel wholesome and traditional. And while not every supplying farm has issues, the fact that any do raises doubts about the consistency of oversight. Customer experiences paint another troubling picture. Reviews often mention eggs with extremely short shelf lives, or cartons where several eggs are already nearing their expiry date when purchased. Others note odd smells, cloudy whites, or shells that feel noticeably softer than they should. Some shoppers even claim that eggs from different batches look or behave differently when cooked, a sign that the quality varies more than most consumers realize. When eggs sit too long before reaching the shelves, the risk increases dramatically. Older eggs are more susceptible to bacterial growth, and their protective membrane breaks down with time, leaving the contents more vulnerable. Add in the uncertainty around farm conditions and supply chain clarity, and suddenly that cheap dozen doesn't feel like such a bargain. And if you think budget eggs are the main problem, think again. Because the next brand shows that even a supermarket's own line can come with unexpected dangers. Number 5 is widely purchased, extremely cheap, and linked to complaints you won't believe. Number 5, Asda Just Essentials. Eggs. Asda. Just Essentials range is designed to be the go-to choice for shoppers who want the lowest price without sacrificing the basics. For many families, these eggs are a weekly purchase, a straightforward staple that helps keep the food bill manageable. The packaging is plain, simple, and unpretentious, signaling value, not luxury. And most people assume that while the eggs might not be premium, they're at least safe, fresh, and reliable. But the complaints surrounding this particular line tell a very different story. Across social media, review pages, and consumer forums, shoppers have reported a worrying pattern of issues with Asda's Just Essentials eggs. Some cartons have contained eggs with strong, unpleasant odors the moment they're cracked open, the kind of smell that indicates the egg is far older or less hygienically handled than it should be. Others mention discovering blood spots, off-colored yolks, or shells so fragile they break in the box before they even reach the fridge at home. When this many problems crop up consistently, it's rarely a coincidence. It usually points to weaknesses in quality control at some point in the chain, whether it's the packing environment, storage conditions, or the welfare of the hens producing them. Low-cost egg lines often come from large-scale operations trying to push output while keeping costs as low as possible. When corners get cut, standards slip and bacteria can spread more easily. Another concern is handling. Eggs in value ranges are sometimes stored for longer before being shipped to supermarkets or move between depots before reaching shelves. Every extra day in transit increases the chance of deterioration. As eggs age, the whites become watery, the yolks weaken, and the natural protective membrane breaks down, making it easier for bacteria to enter if the shell is even slightly compromised. For families looking to stretch their budgets, these aren't mild inconveniences, they're potential health risks. A bad egg can lead to food poisoning that strikes fast and hard, especially in children, the elderly, or anyone with a weaker immune system. And with budget eggs, it's incredibly difficult for the average shopper to tell which cartons are safe and which ones have already gone downhill. Before we move on, if you're finding this breakdown eye-opening, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. It helps more viewers stay informed. And trust me, the brands coming next are even more shocking. Because if you think low-cost supermarket eggs are concerning, brace yourself. Number 4 is a brand many people buy believing it supports better farming and higher standards, but the truth flips that belief completely upside down. Number 4, Sainsbury's Basics, Woodland Eggs. Sainsbury's Basics and its Woodland branded alternatives have long been go-to options for shoppers looking for consistency and affordability. Sainsbury's is known for its detailed sourcing policies, and many customers assume that its egg lines, especially anything labelled woodland or outdoor, are produced to clearly defined standards. The packaging gives the impression of eggs coming from hens with access to natural environments and responsible farming practices. But when you look closely at the feedback from shoppers and reports from consumer groups, the picture becomes more complicated. Not scandalous, but definitely less tidy than the branding suggests. Over the years, reviewers have expressed confusion and frustration about the inconsistency between different batches of these eggs. Some customers report strong, rich yolks and firm whites, while others claim their cartons contain eggs that seem unusually pale, oddly shaped, or quick to deteriorate in the fridge. These differences don't indicate wrongdoing. They simply reflect the reality that supermarket egg supply chains are often large, complex, and variable. For ranges like Woodland, which suggest outdoor or enriched environments, the challenge is clarity. Not all woodland or outdoor descriptors are regulated terms in the same way free range is. This means consumers sometimes buy based on impressions, assuming the label guarantees a specific standard of hen lifestyle, when in fact the phrase may refer simply to the style of farming rather than a strict welfare definition. It isn't that the eggs are unsafe. There is no public evidence suggesting that the real issue is transparency. Some customers feel the branding implies more than it guarantees, which creates a sense of mistrust when the product varies from box to box. For a shopper trying to make ethical or predictable choices, this inconsistency alone can be unsettling. And when you're buying eggs weekly, small variations can make the difference between a reliable staple and a product that leaves you questioning what you're really paying for. And if branding confusion bothers you, the next one is even more surprising because it comes from a retailer known for its premium image. Number 3 shows how even top-end supermarket labels aren't immune to scrutiny. Number 3. M&S Select Farms Eggs. Marks & Spencer has built its entire reputation on quality. For decades, shoppers have viewed M&S as the safe bet, the place where food is held to a higher standard, where premium sourcing and strict oversight justify the price tag. Their Select Farms labels, including their egg range, are designed to reassure customers that every step of production has been carefully monitored. For many households, M&S eggs feel like the upgrade option. The choice for people who want something consistent, dependable, and perhaps a bit more ethical than the budget alternatives. The branding leans heavily on themes of traceability, responsible sourcing, and high welfare expectations. It's the kind of packaging that makes you feel confident before you even open the box. But even premium brands face scrutiny, and public feedback on Select Farms eggs reflects that reality. Over the years, some customers have raised concerns about inconsistency between batches, noting that while many cartons are excellent, others occasionally contain eggs with thinner shells or yolks that don't seem as vibrant as expected for the price. These aren't safety issues. There is no public evidence suggesting contamination or wrongdoing, but they do highlight the fact that even premium eggs can vary depending on seasonal conditions, hen diets, or the specific farm supplying the batch. Another area that has drawn attention is the broader conversation around what Select Farms actually means. M&S defines it as a network of approved British farms that meet the retailer's own sourcing standards. These standards are publicly available, but they are not a separate farming system in the way free-range or organic are. Some shoppers mistakenly assume Select Farms is a welfare certification when in fact it's M&S's own supply framework. This doesn't indicate any problem, but it shows how easily consumers can overestimate what a label guarantees. The gap between perception and the technical definition can leave some buyers expecting a level of uniformity or welfare precision that the term wasn't created to promise. What's important to understand is that these eggs are not considered unsafe or problematic. The real talking point here is expectation versus reality, the tendency for branding to create an image that doesn't always match the natural variability of agricultural products. And if a premium supermarket like M&S can face questions about clarity and consistency, what happens when we look at a retailer known for sheer volume and lower everyday pricing? Number 2 comes from one of the UK's biggest supermarket giants, and the issues customers report there paint a very different picture. Number 2, Tesco Everyday Value. Stockwell Eggs. Tesco is the UK's largest supermarket, which means its egg ranges, including Everyday Value and the updated Stockwell label, are among the most widely purchased in the country. Because Tesco sells such a high volume of eggs every single week, many households treat these cartons as their default choice. Convenient, readily available, and competitively priced. The branding is intentionally simple and budget-friendly, designed to communicate practicality rather than premium quality. Most shoppers assume that because Tesco oversees such a large supply chain, standards must be tightly controlled. And to their credit, Tesco does publish detailed sourcing policies and participates in national assurance schemes, but large-scale retail always comes with challenges, and public feedback reveals a mixed picture. One of the most common themes in customer reviews is variation between batches. Some cartons contain perfectly normal eggs, while others include shells that feel slightly thinner, yolks that are a bit paler, or whites that behave differently when cooked. None of these observations point to safety issues. There is no public evidence of contamination or major problems with Tesco's egg lines, but they do underline how mass production supply chains can make consistency harder to maintain compared with smaller, more specialized brands. Another frequent point raised by shoppers is the shelf life. Some consumers report cartons with long, reliable dates, while others have purchased eggs that seem closer to their best before window than expected. This doesn't mean anything unsafe is happening. Rather, it reflects the sheer number of distribution centres, farms and logistical routes involved in supplying the UK's largest supermarket. More movement means more variability. There is also the recurring conversation about what value eggs actually represent. While the low price appeals to many households, some customers question whether the slight inconsistencies make the savings worthwhile, especially for those who bake regularly or prefer eggs with rich colour and stronger flavour. What matters most is that Tesco's Everyday Value and Stockwell eggs are not unsafe, but the feedback around freshness windows, uniformity, and overall reliability shows how difficult it can be for a huge retailer to deliver the same experience from carton to carton. And that brings us to the final entry. If you think the biggest retailer raises questions simply due to scale, the top spot belongs to a brand known not for being cheap or basic, but for being different. Number 1 challenges assumptions in an entirely new way. Number 1. Clarence Court. Clarence Court stands out instantly on the supermarket shelf. With its bold colours, heritage breeds, and premium presentation, it looks and feels different from standard supermarket eggs. Many shoppers see these cartons as the special occasion choice. The eggs you buy when you want richer flavour, stronger shells, and a more traditional feel. Their Burford Browns and old Cotswold Liga varieties have developed something of a cult following, especially among home cooks who swear by the distinctive yolk colour. Part of the appeal comes from the breeds themselves. Heritage hens naturally lay eggs with deep pigments and firmer whites, and Clarence Court has made that uniqueness central to its identity. Consumers often interpret this as a sign of higher welfare or smaller-scale farming. And while the brand does communicate its commitment to quality and lineage, heritage breed eggs naturally bring with them a level of variation that customers don't always expect. This is where the public conversation becomes more interesting. Not because there are safety concerns, but because premium branding raises expectations. Food journalists and reviewers have noted that depending on the season, heritage hens may lay eggs that differ slightly in size, shape, or shell tone. Some customers have been surprised by these inconsistencies, expecting perfectly uniform eggs in every box due to the higher price point. In reality, these variations are normal for traditional breeds and not a sign of poor quality. Quite the opposite. There has also been ongoing discussion about label interpretation. Clarence Court offers a mixture of farming methods depending on the specific product line. Some eggs are free-range, some belong to specialty categories, and each carton clearly states the farming type. However, because the brand overall has a premium artisan identity, some shoppers assume all products follow the same system. This isn't the case, and the brand does label its methods accurately, but it's a reminder that packaging impressions can sometimes overshadow the fine print. Another talking point relates to scale. Many people imagine that heritage breed eggs come from small, rustic farms with extremely limited production. But to supply nationwide chains, any brand, even one known for traditional breeds, must operate at a commercial level. This doesn't undermine quality or welfare, but it does challenge the romantic image some consumers have in their heads. Crucially, Clarence Court is not associated with any confirmed safety issues. The discussions surrounding the brand revolve around perception versus reality, price versus expectation, and the unique quirks of heritage breeding, not health risks or wrongdoing. Still, its top ranking here reflects how strongly marketing, presentation, and tradition influence shopper expectations. Clarence Court isn't a brand you need to fear. It's a brand that highlights how easily consumers can build assumptions based on appearance, heritage, and reputation. I believe that was helpful. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's the easiest way to support more fact-based breakdowns like this, and it helps other UK shoppers make informed decisions too.